Welcome to freedomlovin.com, where we focus on building freedom in an unfree world. Through personal development, location independence, and passive income strategies. Now here's your host, Kevin Koskela.
Welcome to Freedom Lovin'. This is Kevin, and this is episode number 39. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk about Obamacare and Harry Browne's Utopia trap from his book, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World. So I hope you are doing well out there. I've had a challenging past month. March was not my month. I'm still recovering from pneumonia, and I'll talk about a little bit about how that happened here. I had a trip scheduled to go to Peru. My buddy Niall Doherty of nialldoherty.com and the Disrupting the Rabblement blog, who I met out in Thailand actually, he was going to be in Peru towards the beginning of March. So I told him, I said, I'm going to meet you down there and let's do Machu Picchu. So that has been the plan since October, really. I had this idea in my mind that I'm going to Peru, I'm going to do Machu Picchu. So about 4 days before my departure for Peru, I started feeling a little bit sick. And I actually thought that I'd probably bounce back before the trip or somewhere, the first couple days of the trip, because usually when I get a cold or a flu or something, it only lasts a few days. It's not like a major thing that goes on and on. So I just kept with the plans. I didn't really see any reason to change it. Even though I was feeling sick, I thought that the best choice for me would be just to keep going with the plans, because the odds were that I was going to get better and I would just get better and recover in Peru, which was fine with me. So not ideal, but I got on the plane, and by the time I got to Peru, I was feeling pretty sick. And I had like a fever and just not doing too good. So I thought, well, okay, I'll spend the first couple of days just sleeping and getting a lot of water, eating some good food. And I did that, and it seemed to kind of level off, but I wasn't getting any better. And then about day 4 or 5, I started getting nauseous, and I was getting these pounding headaches, and I had this cough that was not going away, and it was just absolutely miserable. So I got a referral to a doctor, and I went to a doctor in Peru, in Cusco, and he was actually an English-speaking doctor, and he was really good, and he diagnosed me with pneumonia. So I was pretty floored about that. And then the worst thing of all, when he told me that, he said, and we're going to have to keep you here overnight. And I've never been in a hospital overnight before. And to have my first experience be in Cusco, in a third world country, and a place that I don't really know the language very well, that was pretty daunting. So, and also I didn't know anyone, and my phone was almost dead. So I couldn't really contact anyone. Even my buddy Niall, I think I sent him a text like when I got in there, and then I sent a couple other people messages, and then my phone died. And so that was it. I didn't have a charger with me, so I just stayed in the hospital and watched TV for several hours. I spent a total of about, I think, 22 hours in the hospital, and I probably slept about 5 hours at night, but it was really uncomfortable. But the hospital itself wasn't bad. It was clean. It was definitely not like super high caliber, but I trusted them. They seemed to know what they were doing. And it was a private hospital, not like some really dirty place or anything like that. So the experience was overall not bad, and I got better. I felt a lot better after getting oxygen and getting antibiotics and everything. I felt way better the next day. So they did their job, and then I got a prescription, and I got some other stuff leaving, and I got out of there. The total bill, like of everything with the drugs and everything, total bill was like $200, I think it was about $230, $250. And I was kind of thankful because I don't have insurance right now, and that probably would have been like $2,000 to $4,000, something like that in the U.S. And I don't have insurance because I never go to the doctor. I mean, I've gone to the doctor, over the years a few times, but it's things that I could easily have not gone for. It's just that I had insurance and I could do it and get something checked out. But nothing has ever been major, so I really didn't think I needed insurance. And this whole Obamacare thing was just really pissed me off. I just didn't want to deal with the whole system, and my insurance company canceled my plan on December 31st. So I just let it go, and it's kind of odd that right after that I get pneumonia. But I lucked out being in Peru because of the cost, But then I got thinking, then I got back. So I spent another week in Peru. It was awesome. I did a couple blog posts about it. If you want to check out the blog, FL039.com. So I won't get into it here, but it was awesome. It was a good trip. Even though I was sick, had a really good time. Had a great time with Niall. And Machu Picchu was cool. It probably wasn't the perfect weather. It was kind of foggy and rainy, but it was cool. It was a great experience, and got to practice some Spanish, although my Spanish is pretty terrible. But it kind of motivated me to get better at it, although I haven't really done much studying since I got back. I was studying a lot when I was there and then trying to use it when I could. But anyway, that's something that's kind of on the back burner at this point. I'm still not 100% from this pneumonia. It's unbelievable. It's almost been a month since I first felt the symptoms come on. And it's been about 2 weeks since I got out of the hospital, and I'm still really low energy. I have a little tiny bit of a cough. It's nowhere near what it was, a little congestion, but it's mainly just this energy level. I just don't have the energy to do anything. I've been working out. I've been doing these little workouts at the gym, but it's hard. I mean, it's like I'm breathing really hard, and I can just feel it right as soon as I do anything physical. I'm feeling like right now when I do podcasts, I stand up and I kind of pace. And I can feel myself right now as I'm pacing. I'm kind of getting winded, which is terrible. I mean, it's like that's I'm in good shape, normally, and I run and I work out a lot. So this has kind of been a kind of a bummer, but I think that it's just one of those things. It takes a really long time to get that full energy back. And I've been talking to other people that have had it, and they said the same thing. It's just really kicks your ass, and I wouldn't recommend getting it. And by the way, all the research that I've done, it is absolutely contagious. It's not as contagious as like a cold, but you can get it. If someone has it in the early stages and you're around them, you can get it. So, and I know who I got it from. So I know for sure that I got it from somebody. And so that's how it is. But anyway, now I know a little bit about pneumonia. I know there's different strands of it too, so who knows what strand I got. But hopefully it's going to be on its way out here in the next few days. So I want to talk a little bit about Obamacare. I don't really get into political issues. Politics is just so annoying because it's like no one ever changes their mind. I don't want to get on a podcast and try to rant and rave about an issue and change somebody. I just want to kind of relay my experiences and my opinions here about what's gone on with Obamacare and what's happening with me and how it's affected me, and then that's it. So I mean, yeah. So Harry Browne is one of my all-time. He's one of my favorite authors. One of the people that I really respect the most in history, including all the so-called leaders and presidents and all that. I think his work is just absolutely amazing, and I've gotten so much out of it. But so I wanted to talk about Obamacare in the respect of this Utopia trap that Harry Browne talks about, because it frustrates me so much. At the same time, I don't know if I need to be frustrated because I could be falling into this Utopia trap myself. Let me talk about what happened with me with this insurance thing, and then I will talk about the Utopia trap and what the answers are. So I looked into getting insurance when I got back from Peru because I thought, I need to get something that's just kind of like catastrophic. Like if I got in an accident and I needed health care, I would be screwed right now. And so I don't like that idea. And then also if I got something really bad, like if I had cancer or something like that, or even another round of pneumonia, I'd have to go in and pay a ton of money without insurance. So I thought, it's a good idea to get something and just get like a low-end plan that I won't necessarily use much, but just in case. So I called my insurance company. They canceled my insurance in December, and they went over all of the plans. There's 3. Used to be like I had the choice of tons of plans. There was all kinds of plans. Now there's 3, and the lowest level one was $257 a month. And that one is the one I had last year was $119 a month, and it was better than this one. Like this one hardly covered anything. It was like you're paying for everything. You're paying for your visits. You're paying a lot for any prescriptions, and I just felt like it was really crappy. And to pay over double for that just seems to make no sense. So I told the lady on the phone, I said, well, I guess I'll call around and see what else I can find. And she said, oh, well, all of the insurance companies have the same 3 plans that I just told you about, and all of the prices are within 10% of each other. So I'm like, oh, so what you're telling me is it's a cartel. the insurance companies have a cartel. And she said, oh, yeah, yeah, that's all the insurance companies all the plans are the same and all the prices are about the same. So I'm like, okay, so we have a cartel on our hands. That's really has zero to do with freedom, living in a free world, living in a free country. Pretty ridiculous. So I kind of hung up the phone in a little bit of annoyance and a little bit of confusion on what exactly to do. So, yeah, I thought about it a lot and talked to some people, and I don't know. I'm still working on a plan. But let me talk about the Utopia trap. So in my frustration and anger and ranting, and I made a Facebook post and all that, I also thought about like, okay, so what is the thing, what would Harry Brown do? What is the thing that I can do that's going to give me the most freedom here? So the Utopia trap is the belief that you must create better conditions in society before you can be free. You're far better off and much more powerful if you concentrate on changing and improving yourself and creating your own personal utopia of freedom and wealth rather than trying to transform society. As Harry writes, the world changers are powerless. They dream of remaking the world, but they can't. And so they've placed their emphasis where they have no power at all. Free men recognize that they can't change the world, and so they concentrate on the power they do have, which is enormous. They realize they can choose not to be involved in situations that don't suit them. So they look for situations that do suit them, and they discover far more opportunities for situations than most people imagine exist. A free person doesn't try to remake the world or his friends or his family. He merely appraises every situation by the simple standard. Is this what I want for myself? If it isn't, he looks elsewhere. If it is, he relaxes and enjoys it without the problems most people take for granted. A free man uses his tremendous power of choice to make a comfortable life for himself. The power of choice, you have it. But you forfeit it when you imagine that you can choose for others. You can't. But you can choose for yourself. But you can choose for yourself from hundreds of exciting, happiness-producing alternatives. Why not use that power? So I got to think about this, and so what I'm getting from this is that, okay, so I can't change what's going on with the law, like the Obamacare law. You can protest and rant and rave and all that, and nothing's going to change. That's how law is. Once it's there, it's pretty much set in stone. And even if there was some way to have the government repeal this law and have us go back to a system that really did help more people, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take just a ton of energy, and really, it's not something that I would want to concern myself with or waste my time with, because there's so many things I could be doing, like Harry Brown says, for myself that are in my control, that I'm not relying on other people, because that kind of gets into the group trap thing that he talks about, which is that you have to, in order to succeed at something like that, you have to have so many people that do so many different things that it's a really, really difficult way to try to make change happen. So, I've done some research, talked to some people, and I've been thinking a lot about it. And one thing that came up is that you can get insurance in Mexico. And so that is an interesting thing, because I am 20 minutes from Mexico. So the idea of if I got sick or something, if I had to do something, I could cruise down to Tijuana. And believe it or not, the doctors there are all educated most of them are educated in the U.S., and a lot of them, around here, they speak English, and it's all on the up and up. So that is an option. I haven't really looked into it too far, but that's something that could be an option. And that way, I kind of have all bases covered. I've got insurance just in case something happens. I'm not paying through the nose, and I'm not paying into the system that I don't believe in. So that's kind of an important thing, and it makes me feel better. So that's one of the things. And then the other thing is that low-level plan that was described to me. Okay, so that is an extra $138 a month for me. So I could just suck it up and pay that amount. It's not cool. I don't like that I'm paying into this. But once that decision is made, it's kind of done. I'm not really, I just have to make an additional $138 a month somehow, which I know I can do. And I've already figured out ways to do that. I've already figured out ways to do a lot more than that. So that's an option that's not that hard. I can sign up and get it done, and I'll have insurance right away. And it's not good insurance, and I'm overpaying, and it's kind of bullshit, and I don't agree with it. But once that decision is made, I can go on living my life as if this didn't exist. Like none of this ever happened. It's just a raise in price. I'm just sitting here having to make more money rather than having a cheap plan that I like. So that is also an option. So I've got two pretty solid options on the table. I mean, the third option is to apply for this covered California, which is the ACA, which is Obamacare. And I think that I haven't really been following the news that closely, but I think that they extended the date till March 31st, and then now they're claiming that they have all these millions of people that are on Obamacare, but I think that what happened was they don't actually have that many people, and they're looking at extending it again. But my problem with that is that then I'm part of the system, and I don't like the system, so I really would feel uncomfortable with, just out of a matter of principles, doing that. Because the way it was phrased to me on the phone, I really didn't like it either. The lady from my insurance company said, "Oh, you could apply for the subsidized plan." And that word subsidized just sounds so awful to me. I feel like it's like, oh, so it's like I need help from somebody. I need this extra help, and because I'm not competent to make enough money to do it on my own. So I hate that idea, and I hate the whole idea. So one of the two options are probably going to be what I do, and I'm not going to try to change the world. I am going to just pick what I pick and go with that and move on and start concentrating on making more money. And I think that's what it comes down to, is when you have your own business, you can put more effort into it. You can come up with new ideas, you can come up with new products, and start producing more income. So that's one of the things that you can do, and that's a tough thing to do if you have a salary job and you need to rely on other people like bosses to give you a raise. That's a tougher situation, but that's why I truly believe in entrepreneurship and having your own business, even if it's a side business, something that you can work on, a couple hours a day or an hour a day. Something that would kick in a little extra income is nice, because then if this happens, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to now focus on, I was making $100 a month from that business. Now I need to make $250 a month. What can I do? What can I do to get there? And it may take a little creativity and some time and getting up early, but that's in the realm of possibility. So anyway, that's the Utopia trap and Obamacare. And I think, my attitude is I am going to continue to live free in an unfree world, and I'm going to continue to build freedom with my businesses, and I'm going to be happy about it. So that's the key, is to continue that happiness level, not get too caught up in what's going on in the news and what's going on in the law and all that kind of thing, and just kind of let it go. And it was funny because I was talking to my bookkeeper yesterday, and she's telling me all about Obamacare. Oh, you should have done it yesterday if you were going to apply, and the deadline's already passed. And I'm like, that's funny, because I don't know these things because I don't pay attention to all these news stories and things like that. So it's funny how law works, how you're just supposed to know. And it seems like without TV and the internet, how would people know? If you're just kind of like sitting at home, how would you know what the new law is, or what happened with some ruling or something? It's amazing to me that that's what everybody just kind of relies on. It's like, oh, well, you got to pay attention to the news, and then you'll know. And it's like, well, I'm glad I don't. So I can just live in my own bubble, so my own freedom bubble. So that's about all I had. I had a couple other things. Bitcoin has taken a dive in price, and of course there's all kinds of people coming out of the woodworks to declare that it's dead and it's a ripoff and it's a scam. Of course, it was always a scam, and it was invented by some guy we don't know, and everyone that made money at the beginning, and there's no more money to be made. So all of those people are out and about. But if you look at it, there's tons of good news coming out about Bitcoin. It's not all about the price. Price is exciting. That's where the focus goes, because Bitcoin went from, in 2012, I think it went from like $6 to $1,100 or something like that. And so that's obviously something that's going to make the news. And now it's down to, I think I checked it, it was somewhere right under $500. So, and it's been around that for a while. It's like, I think it's been a few months maybe that it's been about $500. So it's kind of stabilized. I mean, there was some bad news that came out about China, and that kind of sunk it down, down to the low 400s, and now it's back. So, but the interesting thing is that what I was looking at is that, the analysis that I was looking at is that last year there was a lot of bad news about Bitcoin, and there was a lot of good news about Bitcoin. But every time the bad news came out, Bitcoin would go down just maybe 1% or 2%, and then it would shoot back up higher to where it was to begin with. And when the good news came out, it would triple in value, or it would skyrocket. So that tells me that last year Bitcoin was in a bull market, And this year, Bitcoin is in a bear market because now the bad news is sinking it. Like if bad news comes out, Bitcoin will drop $100. And if good news comes out, which it is like almost every day, it doesn't even go up. It goes up, a couple bucks. So it tells me that it's in a bear market right now. So who knows how long the bear market's going to last? I think it would be interesting if someone did an analysis on what the history of Bitcoin, like when has it been in a bear market, when has it been in a bull market, and you can kind of tell how long this bear market is going to last. But yeah, I don't think that it has anything to do with the technology itself. The Bitcoin protocol is still revolutionary no matter what happens with the price, no matter what news comes out, no matter what any government does, it doesn't really matter. It's like saying, if some governments decided to ban the internet in 1994, would it have less value? Would people not want to be on the internet because it's illegal? I mean, maybe if the alternative was going to jail, but the technology itself was already out, so that would be really hard to put back in the box. And that's the same with Bitcoin. So it's an interesting ride. I'm really enjoying it, even though I would love to see the price go up again because I am an investor. But I also don't hang everything onto the price of Bitcoin, and I don't have my life savings in Bitcoin, although I'm probably heavily overinvested in it. When I'm able to, I buy more Bitcoins, and I still do. So I don't think that it's a bad time to get in, but you have to be willing to stomach the ride, and that may involve the price going down again and then rising again. So yeah, so it's an interesting thing to follow, and I'm looking forward to accepting it on my website soon. We're looking at different options for some things, and I also need to put up my widget again for this podcast, but I'll probably get to that soon. So, one last thing I wanted to mention is that I mentioned my friend Niall Doherty. He's got a blog called Disrupting the Rabblement, and it's nialldoherty.com. And I'll have the links to that. But also, more importantly, he just released a book, and it's called Cargo Ship Diaries. And I'm just about through that. I'm about 82% through on my Kindle. And it's been an awesome book. And it's about his journey. He's traveling around the world without flying. And he's made it. He's been traveling for 2.5 years now with this method. And his book is written on a cargo ship. He took a cargo ship from Japan to Peru. And it was a 26-day adventure. And so the book is about his experiences up until that point and also on the cargo ship itself. And it's a really interesting, exciting, and fun book to read. If you're into travel at all, which I love travel books, so I knew I was going to love this one, I would pick it up. And I'll put a link in the show notes to the book. And it's just $10. So, and it's not, Niall is not raking in the money. So, as far as the books go, so if you want to check it out, just go to the link that I have, and then you can buy it on Amazon and check it out, and that would be much appreciated. So, and if you do like this show, Freedom Lovin', please go to iTunes and give us a rating and review. I've been off since, I think, the end of February or maybe the beginning of March, so I've had a month off, but I am definitely still going with this. And I want to have some really good guests on, and I really want to promote the show as much as possible. And the best thing that could help is just a rating and review in iTunes. So I'll have a link to that too, but you can just go into your own, however you access iTunes, and do that, and that would be really helpful for us. So anyway, I hope all is going well on your end, and have a great week, and go out there and build some freedom, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Freedom Lovin' Podcast. To break free today, head on over to freedomlovin.com and download our free guide. 7 practical tips to living free in an unfree world.